Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you from the market site in Times Square, New York City. And joining me for this segment, we have Jodee Rich and Cameron Bale. They're both the co-founders of NFT.NYC. We're going to discuss why New York is emerging as a hub for NFTs. Gentlemen, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. And Jodee, explain to us why New York is emerging as a global hub for NFT innovation.
It's absolutely the best city in the world for NFTs. Money, culture, art, fashion, marketing, and these amazing Times Square billboards. We're taking out 12 Times Square billboards and having a roadblock on Tuesday morning next week to kick off NFT.NYC.
Yeah, well, we know how to go out in style here in Midtown, that's for sure. Give us the history behind NFT.NYC.
So I had lunch down in the Village, spaghetti arrabbiata, with my friend Devin Finzer from OpenSea in August of 2018. And we said, no one knows what an NFT is, let's run an event to talk about it. And we said, we want to have three important things with the event. One, to put as many community members on stage as possible, to give the community a voice, bring thought leaders together, and then share with the broader community. I gave Cameron a call after lunch and I said, let's register the domain name NFT.NYC.
And Cameron, let's talk about NFTs and what their use cases are, because there's far more to them than what meets the eye.
Yeah, that's right. I think the world sort of woke up to NFTs last year with art, NFTs and art. And I think like from the NFT community that was around before that, that was initially one of the first use cases that we all saw. But the initial use cases that we all saw started with art and then it went on to gaming, went on to collectibles, and went on to different types of NFT utility. And I think now we're starting to see those other types of use cases sort of enter the mainstream beyond just art.
Ticketing, brands are getting involved. The brands are using it to create fan engagement. Film. I'm starting the conference next week with a really interesting talk with Jaehan Chu about NFTs that actually morph and become dynamic and change as people do things to them.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how brands are leveraging them not only as another distribution channel for their product, but also social engagement and unlocking unique experiences. Like, okay, here's a sneaker and you can only get one of them in the world. You have this NFT and then you go to this store, enjoy that in-store experience, and here's your sneaker. That's just one use case. So Cameron, what are you seeing in terms of how entertainment brands are leveraging NFTs?
I think proof of fandom is sort of the umbrella that I would put it under. And proof of fandom could be that, you know, you attended something. So you went to a concert, you went to an event, you went to a conference, for example. Or it could mean that you listened to someone on Spotify, or it could mean that you did something else to engage with that brand or that celebrity, that actor, that musician in some way that shows that you're a fan. And
it creates membership in that community.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And
so
it's independent of Facebook, Twitter, or any of these institutions.
I was just gonna bring up that point. I think when you think of entertainers, when you think of people who are in sports, especially with sports, they have a very finite time of when they can make money and they have income, particularly because, you know, they just age out or they get hurt. This is another way for them to continue their career, continue engagement with fans. And I think, you know, from that perspective too, it's reskilling an entire workforce.
And I think at the other end of the sports spectrum is the collegiate athletes. So instead of lengthening the career of a professional athlete, this is a really great way for collegiate athletes to start their career, sometimes get funding, sometimes build a fan base, but, you know, engaging with their fans early.
So what can we expect? What's new this year with NFT.NYC?
Well, 15,000 attendees, 1,500 people on stage, 1,500 speakers, 16 tracks. And this year the brand track is 10 hours long. So there are many, many brands now participating. I'll be talking on stage with Brendan Lynch, who is one of the key directors at Ticketmaster, about how Ticketmaster are using live stubs, tickets to commemorate different events and provide proof of attendance.
Right. Well, I mean, NFTs also have a measure of security as well when you think about ticket sales and how they're being transferred and how they're being used. So
it's early days in ticketing.
Right.
You know, eventually, the NFT will become the ticket. Right now, the NFT is like a digital twin. You get an e-ticket that you scan, and you get an NFT which commemorates your visit to the event.
Yeah, it's almost like you're taking out the middle person or the platform to be able to engage with artists, with sports, with entertainers. So what does this look like in 3 to 5 years? To your point earlier, Cameron, it's like this buzzword NFTs came into the populace, third, fourth quarter of 2021. and now they're ubiquitous to a certain extent.
Yeah. So in 2019 at our first NFT.NYC, we had mini tracks where we allocated people to a topic or a theme, and one of those tracks was called Wild and Crazy Use Cases. And this year, the Wild and Crazy Use Cases are full tracks. They've evolved into these. There's many people speaking about these unique things that people once thought NFTs could be used for. And so I think, in the future, we will see that NFTs are being, integrated into brand and consumer experiences in ways where we're not even thinking that they're NFTs.
Yeah, they won't even know they're an NFT. I think the longer term use case that excites me the most is identity. I can express my identity through the NFTs I create and the NFTs that I buy from others, and then the NFTs that I like and comment that I see out there. And if we end up with a search engine, you type in my name and you see all of the ways I've interacted with NFTs, that's a great way for you to find out about me. And it's got nothing to do with the existing institutions that we have out there.
Right, like harvesting your data to figure out what works, when marketers market to you and how they're using your data. So it really has evolved just beyond digital art, is how they were associated. I mean, even just a few months ago, it was always associated with digital art and more of a store of value versus what we're seeing in other parts of blockchain technology being deployed, where it's building the ecosystems around these immersive experiences.
Yeah, because you can register ownership.
Right.
Because you know that this is my identity or my NFT. And then I can decide if I want to give it to you, trade it, sell it, or do whatever it is that we want to do together.
And with those NFTs, if it becomes a part of your digital identity, what you're purchasing, what you're engaging with is really going to tell your story on your own personal blockchain.
Very much.
Yeah. All right. Well, certainly exciting times for sure. Thank you so much for joining us on
It's a
Trade
pleasure.
Talks.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.